Students, in the last topic, we cover the discovering of the civilization, the artifact found in the sites of the Harappa that fascinated the British to excavate the sites. We talked about Alexander Cunningham. He tried to interpret this culture with whom he was familiar as the time period from 6th century BC to 4th century AD. But the civilization came into limelight under John Marshall, who brings a new civilization to the world contemporary to Mesopotamia and Egypt. Further excavation work on this site was done by Sir Mortimer Wheeler. In 1944, Dr. R. E. Mortimer Wheeler took up the reign of the Archaeological Survey of India, introduced a new outlook, on archaeology and the observance of stratigraphy in the field. So he introduced a new method, in stratigraphy, that we call a grid square method. The Wheeler technique of excavation involves a system of digging, within a series of squares. So you can see here a grid square method, divided into grids which vary in size. As you take one grid, here when you dig inside the square, the remaining structure, the wall like structure, we call it bulk, the freestanding wall. So if we talk about a different layer here, if we talk about a different layer or strata, so it gives a chronological order of sequences. So this method gives archaeologists a grid system, to keep better organizations of their finding. So when they dig the square, this square also give archaeologists a very good look into the stratigraphy of the earth, as you can see here, as it is uncovered and remains on the bulk way. Then Wheeler re-excavated Harappa and brought to light an extensive fortifications what might have found the citadel, which changed the sociological concept. So citadel or fort, as we have read, the citadel for the ruling class and the lower town was for the common people. And when we talk about the cemetery here, Harappa cemetery with extended burial as a distinct from the jar burial which had previously exposed. So he brought a new outlook on archaeology. After the partitions of India, most of the well-known Harappan site, either Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Chanhu-daro, went to Pakistan, leaving only two outposts, Kotla Nihang near Ropar and Rangpur in Kathiawar, Gujarat, within the territory of India. So the excavation took place after the partition. So Amlanand Ghosh undertook the exploration of the valley of the dried up Saraswati and its tributary Chotang in the Ganganagar, North Rajasthan, and discovered about 25 sites. He excavated at Soti and conducted preliminary excavation at Kalibanga, and then the later excavation took place under the directorship of B.K. Thapar and B.B. Lal, of Kalibanga, B.B. Lal. So here you see Yagdash Sharma began excavation at Ropar in the year 1953. The excavation reveals for the first time a sequence that went from the mature Harappa to the later Harappa phase. So this was followed by the painted grey ware culture and then the northern black polished ware. So Mauryan level, Shung, Kushan's levels and Gupta levels. For the first time there was a hint at a possible continuous history from the mature Harappa period. So we can, because we are seeing the phase from the mature to the later Harappa phase, then we talk about the Mauryans, the Shung and Kushang, and then the Guptas. Suraj Bhan, in the course of exploration in the 60s in the upper Saraswati basin. Okay, notice a number of Harappan sites such as Banwali, Rakhigadi and Mithatal. In the 50s and 60s, S.R. Rao explored a large area in Gujarat, including Kutch and Kathiawar. In 1957, he begins excavation at the site of Lothal in Gujarat. So, by the ends of the 70s, the Harappan era was well documented in India. So, archaeologist Jagpati Joshi, okay, of Archaeology Survey of India excavated the site of Surkodda in 1964, Dholavira in 1967, among many others. Since the 80s, there has also been growing international interest in Harappan archaeology. Specialists from the subcontinent and abroad have been jointly working at both Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. So, if we talk about the international interest, so here you can see in 1975, French archaeologists they discovered a mature Harappa site on the Amu Darya river in the northern Afghanistan. So this site is very important as it is the northernmost outpost of the Harappan and was excavated by Henry Paul Frankfurt, whose work clearly established that the settlement was an outpost. Okay, it was an outpost to protect the source of Harappan lapis lazuli in the Badkhasha mine. So they were using modern scientific technique including the surface exploration to recover the traces of clay, stone, metals and plants and animals remain, as well as minutely analyze every scrap of available evidences. So this yield interest result in the so that they can yield interesting result in the future. Then comes the next topic, problem of piecing together the past. So how they bring together the different aspects of past to construct or reconstruct the history. So first we talk about the sources. It is the material evidences that allow archaeologists to better reconstruct Harappa life. Okay, here the material includes the tool, pottery, ornaments, household objects. And if we talk about the organic materials such as the cloth, leather, wood, reeds, generally decomposed, especially in the tropical region, the dry and arid region. So what survive here are the stone, burnt clay, terracotta, metal, etc. So they are the evidences, the sources. So it is important to remember that only broken or useless object would have been thrown away. Other thing would probably recycled. So if we talk about the valuable items or artifacts that are found, okay, found in case if they are lost in the past or hoarded which and never retrieved, okay, or they cannot, they place the artifact where it left or lost. So there are two levels of piecing together the past or looking together the past. One is the classifying find, another one is the problem of interpretations. Archaeologists classify their finding in the following terms. Okay, so one, if we talk about the classifying finds, so you can see they have one simple principle of classifying, okay, is in the term of the object or the materials such as the stone, clay, metal, bone, ivory. Okay, the second, the more complicated in term of the functions of this classifying find. So in terms of function, archaeologists have to decide whether, for instance, an artifact is a tool or an ornament. Okay, or both or something meant for rituals. For example, when we talk about the seal, and we have discussed it earlier also, that they used seal for trades, but later we discussed it that they use it as in amulets, okay, as a lucky charm. Somewhere it indicate their belief or faith. So here, an understanding of the function of an artifact is often shaped by its resemblance with present uh, day things, okay. Beads, coin, stone blades and pot are obvious example. So what we do, first we correlate it with the present day and assume that they are used for this purpose, they were used for this purpose. Then comes the investigating the context, okay. So in which context it was found, the situation or the circumstances. Was it found in the house, in a drain, in a grave, or in a cleanse? Sometimes archaeologists have to take recourse to indirect evidences also. For instance, though there are traces of cotton at some Harappan sites, okay. So here, to find about the clothing, we have to depend on indirect evidences, including the depiction in sculptures, okay. Then the archaeologists have to develop frame of references. So we have seen that first Harappan seal that was found could not be understood. So archaeologists had a context in which to place it, both in term of cultural sequences in which it was found or in term of comparison with finds in Mesopotamia. Because when we talk about Mesopotamia, the seal was found there, but archaeologists believe that it is indigenous. So the second level, the second stage, the problem of interpretation will be discussed on next video.